You know, and I'll tell you about senseless waste of life, of course. You'll be familiar with the horrendous murder of Brianna Ghey. Now, a judge ruled today that the two teenagers that were convicted of murdering Brianna can indeed be named when they are sentenced in February. Now, the people that conducted this crime, there were 15 when they did it, 16 now. Do you think it's the right decision by the judge, Kelvin, to remove their anonymity?
Yes, I must say I'm delighted and in some ways amazed that this has happened. And it just goes to show what a shocking murder this was. The truth about the matter is, I am often puzzled and amazed at why it is that the courts don't actually reveal the names of more of these teenagers. The idea that the kids of today are the same as when this law was brought in, which is around about the late 40s, early 50s, is ridiculous. They are often vile, they're often violent, and they are allowed then to wander around their neighbourhoods without anybody knowing anything about them. And I think that that should stop. I think that there should be an imperative within the court that if it's a serious enough crime, you get named as though you were an adult in a magistrate's court or a crown court.
At what stage?
Pretty early on, actually, depending on what the...
Whilst the trial is ongoing?
Yeah, when you are charged. When you are charged. If you're charged with ABH, GBH, or any of the other vile crimes which some of these youngsters are now charged with, right, they need to face, and the locals need to know what these people are that are wandering around. I mean, there are a lot of very violent crimes, and I think if you had police officers, I'd be very grateful if some of them would write in to explain what they have to put up with in regard to those crimes.
I'll come back to you on that in a sec, but Alan?
Well, we have a principle of innocent until proven guilty, so if you start charging people and then announcing their names...
but they're the adults are already.
The implication being that they've done the crime. So that's an important precedent. But the question about their age and about the revelation of their name, we need to decide in Britain at what point someone's an adult. If you can vote in Scotland at 16, if we're saying that you can only go to war at a certain age, you can go at 16, but you can only have a drink at 18. And if it is the case, as Kelvin's saying, that we think that people are adult...
I don't think you can go to war at 16, can you? I think you can join the
junior
forces,
leaders
and
then you can go... Yeah, I mean, 17.
But anyway, go on.
But the point being, we can have that discussion. I think, in a way, young people are more immature sometimes, but I wouldn't make generalities about things. I think one of the problems with making decisions about rulings and what we should change in law with the most horrendous crimes, and this is a really, really disgusting, terrible, horrible crime, is that it doesn't tend to make for good law generally. If we have a principle that you have anonymity up until a certain age and you're a minor, which they were at 15, I haven't heard a conclusive argument as to why that would be of the public benefit to release their names in advance. But if we decide as a nation, you know, democratically, that what we think is that it should be much younger and people should be held responsible as adults younger, then we have to apply that to all things, not just this.
Well, the criminal age of responsibility in England and Wales, of course, is 10 years old, isn't it? What do you hope to gain then? What do you think is gained from the anonymity being lifted of these people?
Well, I think it's a crime. I think it's a crime which could be equated with any adult crime, right? I mean, this was, if you saw this as a Netflix crime drama, you would not believe that two 15-year-olds could actually dream up stabbing to death a perfectly innocent young person 28 times or whatever it was.
Yes.
So I am in favour of them being treated in exactly the same way as they would be if they were deemed to be adult. I am in favour of that law being changed for other crimes.
Would you be in favour then of, like, for example, that so-called John Venables guy that's going through the parole system and all the rest of it, James Bulger's killers? Do you think he should? Because he's got, of course, a whole different identity. I think he's on about his second or third one or something. Do you think people like him...
I'm not in favour of them giving other identities. This is something which should carry with them for the rest of their lives. And nobody can argue with this particular crime that people shouldn't be able to... I don't know how long they're going to get. I suspect they're going to get something like 25 years or something like that. At the end of that time, I still want to know that it is that person that's walking down my high street.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I don't know how long you're going to live, but they probably won't be strolling down the high street.
You suggesting I may not be around in 25 years' time?
In a word, yes. No, my point is, though, that these people are going to be locked away for a very long time. And I'll tell you, the people that I feel sorry for in all of this, because these teenagers, right, in this prison, their fellow inmates are going to know. They're going to know that this is the guy that did this is the girl that did this. That is going to be out in that prison. So those guys, their life will be impacted, I would imagine. Those inmates will also know. The people that are innocent in this is their parents, so the killers' parents. All of a sudden, those innocent people, you know, the mums, the dads, siblings, whatever, everyone is now going to know it was your kid that did this, your child that did this. And there's a small part of me that feels a little bit sorry for those parents.
Well, again, I'm not sure entirely what the public interest is in changing this. I think there is an argument to be made that there are more violent, terrible, narcissistic, horrendous crimes. We certainly have seen them with knives and other things with young people. I think there are many reasons for that. And there are ways that we should approach that as a society. I think the glorification of violence, of nihilism, not believing in values and principles, perhaps things like military service or certainly doing things for the community, all things that could bestow values, which we've been really bad at doing, giving people a sense of being part of something, are all really important. However, there are always, no matter how strong a society is, people that do really horrendous things. The question is, for minors, do we want to change the rule for everyone as a consequence of it? I can't see the compelling evidence for it myself.
What are you calling a minor? Someone under the age of 18?
Well, 15, you know, someone who's under the age of 16.
And do you agree with the age of criminal responsibility then, in England, Wales being 10?
Well, they say that, but the thing is there's different levels. It's 10, but then there's 13, then there's 15. They are treated differently depending on their actual age.
But do you think that level of 10, of like, that is the point where literally you as an individual, you can be held criminally responsible? Because people debate and dispute that.
I've always thought that was a strange thing. But I understand...
Strange?
Well, a 10-year-old... to be able to have moral reasoning about right and wrong. You know, many people when they're 10...
do.
When they're... What?
If you've got kids, you know.
When you're 10 years old...
You know, don't you? Your kids know right from wrong. Well, actually, they know it from about 3.
One of the things is, it also depends what we're talking about. This is a really horrific, terrible thing. Let's take things like shoplifting or other things, right? Minor infractions that actually, when you're young, you might do something silly because your ability to make rational decisions, to be influenced, to do all sorts of things, they're still in the process of developing their minds, being brought up. To then hold them accountable in the same way that we'd hold an adult accountable, we don't do that in any other area, right? You don't say, oh, we can go out on a date with them. They can't make decisions like that.
Well, no, because that would be paedophilia and that would be illegal and that would be weird.
Exactly.
But they still know when they're 10. If you go to a shop, or if you're 9 or 8 or whatever, you go to a shop and you nick something, you know that is wrong, and you probably should have an appreciation of what the law is and isn't by that age. You tell me at home, what do you make to that anonymity? I've got